What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about The Fall Guy. This movie is directed by David Leitch and written by Drew Pearce, and it is also starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt as we follow the story of a down-and-out stuntman who must find the missing star of his ex-girlfriend's blockbuster film. Alright guys, you have to bear with me. I'm just getting over a cold, so my voice, it might sound different on camera, it might sound different in real life, but bear with me. I'm trying to do my best to deliver this review, so let's get into it. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with David Leitch's name, he's been in the industry for a very long time, and he's a stuntman turned director. He has picked up a lot of traction when he produced John Wick. He has directed his own films since then, such as Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2, and last year's Bullet Train. And he's teaming up with his writer Drew Pearce, who has done Hobbs and Shaw alongside with him, to deliver another romantic comedy wrapped up in spectacular action, or what Hannah Waddingham has said in the movie, sexy bacon. Now, this is also a remake, loosely, sort of based on the 80s TV show of the same title starring Lee Majors, which I did not find out about until a few hours before my screening. And did I mention that it is starring two of the supporting leads from last year's Barbenheimer event? And that's basically all you really need to fire up moviegoers for the blockbuster slate. You need a little bit of humor, a little bit of explosives, and a whole lot of love. Man, the trailers for this movie was around for merely 9 months, and almost every title that I've gone to the cinema to check out, they played this trailer. And I thought with a lot of the delays, because there was a February release date, there was a March, spring break release date, and then it got pushed all the way to May, and I was afraid I was going to be just completely tired out, not as excited by the time this movie hit theaters. But thankfully, a lot of the cool promos that Universal did alongside with David Leitch, Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, they had me hopeful. Even after seeing the movie for itself, there were some footage from the trailers, alternate takes, that played out differently from the final product. And in some cases, I would be completely bothered by it because I hate when movies do that. But it really worked for The Fall Guy. And that really is because some of the way that they narrated some things in the trailer, I expected the movie to go one way, and then it took a few twists and turns which led into another direction, which left me with a completely satisfying experience. Now, this isn't a spoiler, but in case you had a different impression on what this movie was advertising itself to be, this is, in a narrative sense, a romantic comedy at its core, seasoned and dressed with practical and immaculate action set pieces. That is exactly what I was expecting when I first saw the trailer, and that is exactly what I got. With the amount of frenetic action I was getting from the trailer, I didn't think the movie was going to be PG-13. I thought it was going to restrain a lot of what we were going to enjoy, especially from Leitch's direction, because let's face it, Hobbs and Shaw is probably my least favorite of his directorial blockbusters, but the action remains solid. A lot of the first half of the action, you get some of the more behind the scenes stunt work, and then the later half you get more of the entertainment value type of action that you've been craving the whole time. I love that little wink to the audience, the little jab they took at AI and VFX work. I also thought it was just so insane at how real, how practical, and just how close to death that Leitch's stunt team will get to obtain some of the most jaw-dropping shots in the film. I also thought it was kind of a nice touch in the details, the way they would do all these safety checks and tedious observations before they start rolling the cameras on some of the most crazy action sequences. From weaponized props, playing with fire, car chases, jumping from insane heights, and even dealing with broken glass, there was some unexpected comedic gold that got a crowd-pleasing response from my auditorium. It is so simple, yet I couldn't stop laughing. There's this one little gag where Ryan Gosling was just shaking off broken glass from his hoodie. There's even this one line where someone asks if stuntmen get awarded at the Oscars, which is a category that should be recognized. It is no surprise that Gosling and Blunt have explosive and outrageous chemistry here in this movie. I love a lot of their dialogue and a lot of their interplay, whether it's being flirtatious to argumentative. Although I did not buy the longevity of their romance, considering how much history had to be summed up in a little montage. One of my favorite moments in the movie is when both of our characters are sharing a split screen, having a conversation about using split screen for the movie that Blunt is directing, and how a lot of these characters, a lot of these lovers can be so close yet so far, and their blocking is just mirroring one another. And especially when they talk about how they're trying so hard to figure out what the third act of the script is going to be, you can't help but take that out of context and really just stick that as a fourth wall break. Speaking of things breaking, let's talk about Ryan Gosling. Gosling is a talent into everything he does. I kept going back to his earlier career on his initial appearance of Goosebumps, that Sandra Bullock movie, Murder by Numbers. This man has flourished in versatile roles, and he's become sort of a comedian in a lot of later blockbuster films. The man is funny, but this is not the first time that he's played a stuntman. I'd like to think that this is an alternate universe of Drive, and he really goes for it here. With the amount of stunt work he gets to do in The Fall Guy, I'm actually surprised that he only had 4 doubles on his particular team to back him up. I mean, you can tell that he is very passionate and very dedicated to his craft, and I very much respect him for it. And then we got Emily Blunt. Damn, I remember in her earlier career, she really played it safe when she did roles like The Devil Wears Prada or Joe Johnston's The Wolfman. Then she really proved that she wanted to play with the big boys, and she did Sicario. And every chance that we get of Emily Blunt getting to kick some ass, I am all there for it. Her wardrobe was on point. Spot on, best yet to say. Her performance was very feisty. I know she was really emulating Greta Gerwig in her role. I did, however, wish she was more involved in the second act. I understand that her role was the first-time director that is just under a lot of stress and needs to focus, but we could have used a little more of her in the story instead of waiting for her to step back into the final showdown to give us pretty much everything you might want from an Emily Blunt performance. I mean, I kind of want to see her in more movies like what she did with her husband John Krasinski in A Quiet Place. I want to see her as the star instead of her just being paired up with the famous guys. Now, for those of you who don't know this part about me, I'm a sucker for movies about making movies. There are production terms and lingo that get thrown around that not many casual viewers are going to grasp about the industry. This movie is also very self-referential, very meta, where they name drop a lot of celebrities and movie titles and really address what's going on in the movie and how over the top it could be. Winston Duke's character is the big advocate for all these components that I love about this movie. I mean, there's even a scene where he just kicks somebody's ass and body slams them on the counter, yelling, "Dwayne The Rock Johnson." I freaking love that. I love his dialogue and interplay along with Ryan Gosling. And he's a stunt coordinator, and I just wish that they utilized him just a little bit more. I know a lot of people really don't like it when movies get self-referential or meta, but I mean, that is music to my ears and candy to my eyes, and if anybody walks away from this movie feeling inspired to be a filmmaker in any way, that's magic. Now, as much as I enjoyed my time with this one, the only negative that I can speculate is they could have handled the missing actor subplots a lot better or get rid of it completely. Now, don't get me wrong, I would rather watch this movie over Hail Caesar, but there was just so much things going on between the 2 plots and the 3 genres that it tried to tackle all at once, and none of those components left a lasting impact. It felt very bloated and 15 minutes too long. With that being said, there's a lot of fun to be had, especially involving a French stunt dog, as well as various cameos that I was not expecting to see here, so it's not a complete loss. Overall, there's some awesome stunt footage. You want to stick around during the credits of this movie. This is a big love letter, a big hug to all the stunt women and men in the film industry. This has everything you want in a date movie, or whether you're trying to catch a big summer blockbuster with friends and family. The Fall Guy is a love story that you want to catch on the biggest screen possible, trust me. Well, alright guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want. Look forward to more reviews. I'm Jaren Agbanawag. I want to thank you guys again so much for taking some time out of your day to hear me talk some movies. I'll see you guys at the theaters. In the meantime, take care.